Before we dive in, drop a quick hi in the comments. It may seem small, but trust me, it really helps YouTube share this story with more sci-fi fans like us. I'd love to see who's watching.
The coffee had gone cold 2 hours ago. Varn hadn't noticed. Admiral Cassius Varn stood at the observation rail of the UTN Harrow, watching Mirage 4 drift in the black like a dead eye. Gray, cratered, worthless, if you didn't know what lay beneath its surface. He knew. He had spent 10 years killing to protect it. Behind him, the bridge moved with quiet precision. 31 officers at their stations. Sensors, weapons, navigation, no wasted motion, no unnecessary sound. 10 years under his command had carved them into something efficient, something sharp. The Harrow herself was old, 12 years in service. Her hull carried scars from battles that had no names, only dates in the logs. Impacts that would have torn lesser ships apart had only left their mark here. Dents, scoring, layers of paint burned and reapplied. Keldrite held the rest together, distributed the force, absorbed what should have broken her. She was not pristine. She was proven. She was his, and in 9 hours, she would belong to someone else. Admiral? Varn turned. Commander Breck, his executive officer, crossed the bridge with a datapad in hand. Breck was 43, built like a cargo loader, with hands that had seen manual labor before officer training. He had served under Varn for 6 years. Reliable, unshakable, the kind of officer who made admirals look competent. Confirmation from Fleet Command, Breck said. Admiral Null's transport is on schedule. Arrival in 9 hours, 14 minutes. Varn took the datapad, read it. The words were simple. Transfer of command. Effective upon arrival. Standard procedure, nothing personal. He handed it back. Prepare the transfer files, he said. Sector status, fleet disposition, ongoing operations. Everything. Already started. Should be ready in 3 hours. Good. Varn looked back at the viewport. Mirage 4 turned slowly in its orbit. On the surface, mining platforms worked around the clock. Automated drills. Processing facilities. A skeleton crew of human supervisors rotating through months-long deployments. The work never stopped, because the demand never stopped. Keldrite. The word meant nothing to most people in the inner colonies. They did not know why their ships survived battles that should have torn them apart. They did not know why hull breaches sealed themselves, why impacts that should have cracked a vessel in half only left dents. They lived in safety and never asked questions. Varn knew. He had seen ships without Keldrite. He had watched them die. The alloy changed everything. Integrated into hull plating, it absorbed kinetic force, distributed energy weapon impacts across the entire structure, allowed controlled deformation without catastrophic failure. A ship with Keldrite could take punishment that would vaporize standard construction. And humanity had learned to use that, not just for defense, for offense. Close the distance, end the fight. That was the doctrine now. Keldrite reinforced prows, angled impact surfaces, ships designed to survive collision, to use collision as a weapon. The aliens had never seen anything like it. They fought at range. They valued formation and firepower. They could not understand a species that accelerated into them and kept fighting. Varn had spent years perfecting it. Every battle taught something. Every loss refined the method. His fleet was not just equipped with Keldrite. They were trained to use their ships as weapons. And today was his last day. Anything else on the board? He asked. Quiet night, Breck said. Patrol groups report nominal. Mining operations running at 87%. Defense Station 3 is cycling a reactor maintenance. Back online in 4 hours. Station 4? Fully operational. Running combat drills this watch. Varn nodded. The orbital defense stations were the last line, 4 platforms ringing Mirage 4, each armed with enough firepower to gut a capital ship. They had never been tested by a serious assault. The fleet had always intercepted threats before they reached the moon. That was the job. Stop them in space, never let them reach the ground. He walked to the tactical display. A holographic map of the sector floated above the central console. 45 green markers spread across the grid. His fleet. Battlecruisers, destroyers, frigates, positioned in overlapping coverage zones, ready to consolidate within 2 hours at any point. 10 years of constant pressure had built this. The sector had never known peace. Raider clans testing the perimeter, alien incursions probing for weakness, corporate saboteurs trying to smuggle Keldrite samples off-world. The threats changed faces, but never stopped coming. And Varn had met them all. He had buried good officers, lost ships he could not replace, made decisions that haunted him in the hours before sleep came. But the line held. The mines operated. The convoys reached the inner colonies. That was all that mattered. Admiral, Lieutenant Spencer at Sensors, young, sharp, recruited straight from the academy and blooded within his first month. He had the instincts. Contact at sector boundary, Spencer said. Multiple signatures. Bearing 047, distance 32 million kilometers. Varn moved to the sensor station. The display showed a cluster of red markers emerging from the transit corridor. The corridor was a natural approach vector. Anyone coming into the sector from the fringe used it. Too convenient. Too predictable. How many? Still resolving. Spencer adjusted the scan parameters. His fingers moved with practiced speed. 15 confirmed. More behind them. The corridor is masking additional signatures. Configuration? Mixed. Some read as Jar warship profiles. Others match Moric attack craft. Several unknowns. Likely mercenary hulls. Jar and Moric. Together. That was wrong. The Jar were reptilian, cold-blooded, clan-based. They fought for honor and conquest. Their ships were designed for long-range bombardment, standing off at distance, and hammering targets with coordinated fire. They valued formation discipline above all else. The Moric were insectoid, hive-adjacent but individually minded. They fought for profit and practical advantage. Their ships were fast and fragile, swarm tactics, overwhelming numbers of small attack craft that could harass and overwhelm. The two species did not trust each other. They did not fight together. Their doctrines were incompatible. Unless someone had forced them together. Keep tracking, Varn said. Full resolution. I want to know exactly what we are facing. Aye, Admiral. Breck appeared at his shoulder. Raid? Too many ships. Varn watched the count rise. 18, 21, 24. This is not a raid. Incursion? We have not seen a major push in 3 years. No. Varn felt something cold settle in his chest. An instinct. A warning. This is something else. Final count, Spencer said. 29 ships. 6 Jar warships. Heavy configuration. 14 Moric attack swarms. Each swarm consisting of 4 to 6 fast attack craft. 8 vessels of mixed origin and configuration. Likely mercenary contractors. 29 ships. A significant force. Not enough to overwhelm the sector, but enough to do real damage. 1 additional contact, Spencer continued. Cruiser class. Configuration matches a modified Terran hull. He paused. Anomalous reading. Partial Keldrite signature in the hull plating, but also alien technology integration. Jar shield generators. Moric sensor arrays. Partial Keldrite signature. Varn knew the ship before Spencer finished speaking. Identify the vessel, he said. Cross-referencing registry now. Spencer frowned at his display. No match in current fleet records. but the base hull configuration is consistent with a Resolute-class cruiser, UTN construction, approximately 15 years old. You will not find it in the active registry. Spencer turned. Admiral? The ship is the Fang of Avarice, Varn said without looking away. Formerly UTN Reliance, stolen during a prisoner transfer 6 years ago, just before Breck came aboard. The bridge went quiet. The hum of systems continued. But the human sound stopped. Officers looked up from their stations. They knew the name. Everyone in the sector knew the name. Solon, Breck said. Yes. Lieutenant Commander Dre Solon. The word had become a curse in Alpha Centauri, a cautionary tale. The officer who had everything and threw it away for greed. Solon had been brilliant. Top of his class at the academy, fast-tracked for command, assigned to the logistics division overseeing Keldrite shipments because he was too valuable to waste on patrol duty. He had access to schedules, manifests, security rotations. And he had used that access to steal. For months, shipments had gone missing. Small amounts at first, then larger. The Keldrite appeared on black markets across the fringe, selling for prices that could buy warships. Internal investigations found nothing. Security protocols were followed. The system was working. Until it was not. An informant sold Solon out. A rival in his network who wanted a larger cut. Military intelligence traced the sales back to him. They found hidden accounts, forged documents, a network of contacts stretching across a dozen systems. Varn had ordered the arrest personally. Solon had not resisted. He had smiled, cooperated, walked into custody like a man who knew something no one else did. During transfer to the tribunal, he had killed 4 members of his escort crew, took their weapons, seized the Reliance, vanished into the black. 2 years of manhunts found nothing. Solon had prepared his escape for years. Safe houses, false identities, allies waiting in the fringe. He had built a life beyond the law long before the law caught him. And now he was back. Incoming transmission, Lieutenant Corin at Communications said. Open channel broadcast. Wide spectrum. They want everyone to hear this. On screen. The main display flickered. Static. Then a face. 6 years had changed Dre Solon. His hair was longer, pulled back from a face that had grown lean and hard. A scar ran from his left temple to his jaw. His eyes had lost whatever pretense of warmth they once held. Behind him, an alien bridge crew worked at stations that blended Terran design with foreign technology. Jar and Morik together, following a human's orders. But the smile was the same. The arrogance. The absolute certainty that he was the smartest person in any room. Admiral Varn. Solon spread his arms wide. You look older. Command must be wearing you down. Varn said nothing. I heard you are retiring, Solon continued, stepping down, passing the torch. Such a shame. I wanted to make sure I was here for your last day. Consider this my farewell gift to you. State your intentions. Direct as always. No small talk. No pleasantries. Solon shook his head. That is what I always admired about you, Admiral. You never wasted time. So, I will not either. He leaned forward. I want Mirage 4. The mines, the refineries, the entire Keldrite operation. You will surrender the sector to my control. You will stand down your fleet, and you will present yourself aboard my ship to answer for what you did to me. What I did to you. You destroyed what I was building, my network, my leverage, everything I set in motion. Solon's voice hardened. I was going to own this sector, control the flow of Keldrite, and you took that from me. For what? Following rules? He laughed. The system is a cage, Admiral. I broke out. You stole from the fleet. You sold military assets to enemies. You murdered 4 officers. I survived. Solin's smile returned. I did more than survive. I built something new. Look at my fleet, Admiral. Jar warriors who conquered star systems before humanity left its cradle. Morek hunters who have stripped 100 worlds clean. Mercenaries from every corner of known space. All of them follow me. All of them will fight for me. He sat back. I am not a fugitive anymore. I am a warlord. And today, I am taking back what is mine. Varn studied the display. Behind Solon, the alien officers worked with coordination. The Jar moved with reptilian patience. The Morek clicked and calculated. This was not a rabble of pirates. This was an organization. You have 29 ships, Varn said. I have 45. Spread across the sector. You will need time to consolidate. My fleet will reach Mirage 4 before half your ships can respond. Solon tilted his head. I remember your tactics, Admiral. I served under you. I know how you think, how you position, how you react. You will do exactly what I expect. You remember. You are predictable, reliable. It is your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. Solon straightened. Surrender Mirage 4. Face me personally, or watch your fleet burn. The choice is yours. You have 1 hour to decide. The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. Breck spoke first. Orders, Admiral? Varn turned to the tactical display. 29 red markers advancing in formation. Jar warships at the center. Morek swarms spreading on the flanks. Mercenary vessels filling the gaps. The fang of avarice at the heart of it all. 6 years. Solon had spent 6 years building this, gathering allies, collecting resources, planning his return. He believed he had prepared for everything. He was wrong. 6 years was a long time. Things changed. Tactics evolved. The fleet that Solon remembered no longer existed. The man he remembered what no longer existed. Fleet order, Varn said. All ships to intercept formation. Hammer groups forward. Nail wings flanking. We meet them at the Mirage 4 approach corridor. Full engagement? Breck asked. Full engagement. Admiral, if we wait for Admiral Null, 9 hours is too long. Solon reaches the moon in 4 at his current acceleration. We intercept in 2. Varn looked at his executive officer. He expects us to consolidate and defend. We will not. We will meet him in open space and end this before he reaches firing range of the stations. Breck nodded slowly. Aye, Admiral. Signal all ships. Formation data to follow. I want every captain on tactical channel in 15 minutes. The orders went out. The bridge returned to motion. Officers relayed commands. Signals pulsed across the sector. The machine began to move. Varn stood at the command rail and watched the green markers begin to converge. His fleet, his people. They had trained for this, bled for this. Some of them would not survive the next 4 hours. That was the cost. That was always the cost. Solon thought he understood the enemy he was facing. The Admiral who had arrested him. The Admiral who had hunted him. Solon had prepared for the past. He was about to meet the present. 30 ships held position at the intercept point. Varn had pulled them together in less than 2 hours. The UTN Harrow sat at the center of the formation, her hull catching the distant light of Alpha Centauri's twin suns. Around her, the fleet had arranged itself with the precision of a decade's drilling. Hammer groups forward. 3 clusters of heavy ships, each built around a battlecruiser with destroyers flanking. Nail wings spread on either side. Frigates in tight formations, ready to sweep and finish. Varn stood at the command rail and watched the tactical display. 29 red markers approached. 4 hours had become 2. 2 had become 40 minutes. All captains on tactical channel, Breck reported, standing by for orders. Varn keyed his comm. The channel opened. 30 commanding officers listened. "This is Varn." He did not raise his voice. He never did. "You have seen the enemy composition. Jar warships at the center. Morik swarms on the flanks. Mercenary vessels filling the gaps. One modified cruiser with partial Keldrite reinforcement at the heart of their formation." He paused. "Let them absorb it." "The enemy commander is Dre Solon, former lieutenant commander, traitor, murderer. He believes he knows how we fight. He is wrong." On the display, the red markers continued their advance. Standard approach formation. It was a textbook formation, designed for range engagement, designed to keep enemies at distance, while concentrated firepower tore them apart. It was exactly what Varn wanted to see. "We will not engage at range," he said. "We will not trade fire. We will close the distance and end this fight in close quarters. Hammer groups will punch through their center. Nail wings will prevent flanking and pursue any ships that attempt to retreat." He could imagine the reactions. Some of his captains had served under him for years. They knew the doctrine. Others were newer, transferred in from sectors where combat meant exchanging salvos across millions of kilometers. "Keldrite holds," Varn continued. "Our ships are built to take impact. Theirs are not. Use that. Hit them. Keep hitting them. Do not stop until they break." A voice came through the channel. Captain Rennick of the battlecruiser Torrent. Veteran. Reliable. Admiral. "Rules of engagement on the Flagship. The Fang of Avarice is mine. Harrow will handle it. Focus on the escorts." "Understood." Varn closed the channel. The fleet knew its orders. Now they would execute. Breck moved closer. "Solon will open fire the moment we enter range. Jar weapons are accurate at distance. We will take damage on approach." "We will take damage," Varn agreed. "We will keep moving." "And if he targets the Harrow specifically?" "He will." Varn looked at his executive officer. "The hull will hold. It always has." Breck nodded. 6 years of service had taught him when the Admiral had made his decision. On the display, the distance counter dropped. 30 million kilometers. 25. 20. "Weapons range in 4 minutes, Lieutenant Spencer reported. Enemy formation is maintaining approach speed. No deviation." Solon was confident. He expected the humans to behave as they always had. Consolidate, defend, trade fire at range. Attrit. He did not know that everything had changed. "All ships," Varn ordered. "Ahead full. Attack speed." The fleet surged forward. The first salvo came at 18 million kilometers. 6 Jar warships fired in perfect synchronization. Plasma lances, heavy particle beams, guided munitions that tracked and adjusted. The barrage lit up the void like a second sunrise, converging on the human formation with mathematical precision. On the Harrow's bridge, alarms screamed. "Incoming fire," Spencer called. "Multiple impacts in 12 seconds." "Maintain course," Varn said. "All ships, do not deviate." The barrage hit. The Harrow shuddered. Impacts rippled across her forward hull. Plasma splashed against Keldrite plating, dispersing into harmless light. Particle beams scored the surface, leaving black streaks but no breaches. Guided munitions detonated against the angled prow, their force absorbed and distributed. Across the formation, the story repeated. Ships rocked, hulls glowed. Damage reports flooded the tactical channels. No breaches, no critical systems, no kills. "Damage assessment," Breck demanded. "Forward plating at 92%, the damage control officer reported. "Superficial scoring on sections 3 through 7, all systems operational." The Jar fired again. Another coordinated salvo. Another wave of destruction crossing the void. The human fleet did not slow down. "Distance closing," Spencer said. 15 million kilometers. 14. Varn watched the display. The red markers grew larger. The Jar formation held steady, pouring fire into the approaching humans. They expected the enemy to falter, to take cover behind the heavier ships, to return fire and engage in the attritional dance they understood. The humans kept accelerating. "They are not stopping," someone said on the JAR tactical frequency. The transmission was intercepted, translated, and displayed on a secondary screen. A JAR captain, his voice carrying the harmonic undertones of stress. "Why are they not stopping?" Varn almost smiled. 12 million kilometers. 10, 8. The Morek swarms began to move, 14 clusters of fast attack craft, each swarm containing 4 to 6 vessels. They swept wide, trying to flank the human formation, to get behind the heavy ships and strike at vulnerable engine sections. "Nail wings," Varn ordered. "Intercept the swarms. Do not let them behind us." The frigates broke formation. Tight clusters of 4 peeled away from the main body, angling to meet the Morek threat. They did not fire. They accelerated. The Morek saw them coming. Fast attack craft against frigates. The first collision happened at 6 million kilometers from the main engagement. A UTN frigate, the Candor, hit a Morek attack craft at a closing speed that turned both ships into kinetic weapons. The Morek vessel shattered. Fragments sprayed across space. The Candor emerged from the debris cloud with her prow crumpled but intact. She immediately turned toward the next target. The Morek swarm scattered. "They are insane," a Morek commander transmitted. The translation rendered his clicking speech into flat words, but the meaning was clear. They are using their ships as weapons. Across the flanks, the same scene repeated. Frigates hunting attack craft, closing distance, forcing collisions. Morek ships that tried to evade found themselves herded into kill zones. Those that stood their ground were broken on Keldrite prows. The swarms began to retreat. At 4 million kilometers, the hammer groups hit the JAR center. 3 battle cruisers led the charge: the Torrent, the Blackwall, the Render. Each one massed 800,000 tons. Each one had been rebuilt 3 times over the past decade, her original frame layered with Keldrite reinforcement, until she was more battering ram than warship. The JAR warships saw them coming. They fired everything. Plasma, particles, missiles. The void between the fleets became a wall of energy and metal. The battlecruisers did not stop. The Torrent hit first. She struck a JAR warship amidships, her angled prow designed for exactly this moment. The impact was catastrophic. The JAR vessel crumpled, her spine broke, atmosphere vented in explosive plumes. Secondary detonations rippled through her hull as power systems failed. The Torrent pulled back, her prow dented but unbroken. Her guns came online. Point-blank fire into the crippled enemy. The JAR ship died. Around her, the engagement became a brawl. Destroyers rammed escorts, frigates finished crippled vessels. The Blackwall took a JAR warship head-on and drove straight through her, emerging from the wreckage with half her forward sensors destroyed, but her weapons still firing. The JAR formation collapsed. They were not built for this. Their doctrine was range, formation, coordinated fire. They had never faced an enemy that charged into their guns and kept coming. They had never felt their ships shatter against hulls that refused to break. Throat flares spread across JAR bridges. Tails went rigid. Panic signals flooded their command channels. "Break formation!" a JAR captain screamed. "All ships, break formation and retreat!" They tried. The human fleet did not let them. Destroyers pursued fleeing warships, closed the distance, rammed them from behind. The JAR ships were faster in a straight line, but they could not outrun enemies who did not care about survival. One by one, the JAR warships died. On the Fang of Avarice, Dre Solon watched his fleet disintegrate. The bridge was chaos. Morek officers clicked frantically at their stations, calculating trajectories and survival odds. JAR commanders shouted demands for explanation. Their throat sacs inflated with fury and fear. Mercenary captains transmitted desperate requests for orders. Solon ignored them all. He stared at the tactical display. 14 ships destroyed, 8 more crippled and drifting. The Moric swarms had scattered. The Jar Center was gone. The mercenaries were running. 15 minutes. It had taken 15 minutes. His first officer, a Jar named Corax, turned to face him. The reptilian's scales had gone pale, a sign of extreme stress. "The humans are ramming us," Corax said. "They are using their ships as impact weapons. Our hulls cannot withstand the collisions. Their hulls can. I know what Keldrite does. Then you know we cannot fight them at close range. We must retreat. Re-establish distance. Find another approach." Solin's jaw tightened. Retreat. The word tasted like ash. He had spent 6 years planning this, building his fleet, gathering allies, preparing for the moment when he would return to Mirage 4 and take what was his. He had studied Varn's tactics, memorized his patrol patterns, anticipated his responses. But this was not the Varn he remembered. The Admiral he knew was cautious, methodical. He positioned his fleet for defense and let enemies come to him. He traded fire at range, using Keldrite's defensive properties to outlast opponents. He did not charge. He did not ram. This Varn closed distance like a predator. This Varn used Keldrite as a weapon, not a shield. This Varn had built a fleet that treated collision as doctrine. 6 years of evolution that Solon had never seen. His intel was outdated. His preparations were useless. His allies were dying. "Orders," Corax demanded. "What are your orders?" Solon looked at the display. The human fleet was consolidating, finishing crippled ships, reforming for the next push. The Harrow sat at the center of the carnage. Varn was waiting. "Mirage 4, Solon said. "We make for Mirage 4. "The orbital stations? If we reach them, we can use them as cover. Force a standoff. Negotiate." Solon's hands clenched. "We still have the Fang. We still have shields. We can survive long enough to find another way." Corax's throat flared. "You want to hide behind their own defenses?" "I want to survive." Solon turned on him. "Do you have a better option?" The Jar said nothing. His tail curled tight against his leg. Fear. "Signal all remaining ships," Solon ordered. "Full acceleration toward Mirage 4. We break through or we die trying." The orders went out. The remnants of Solon's fleet turned toward the moon. 7 ships. The Fang of Avarice. 3 Jar warships, damaged but mobile. 2 Moric swarms, reduced to half strength. 1 mercenary vessel that had not yet fled. They ran. On the Harrow, Varn watched them go. "They are making for the moon," Breck said. "If they reach the orbital stations, they will not reach them." Varn keyed the fleet channel. "All ships, pursuit formation. Cut them off before they reach Mirage 4. The Flagship is mine. Handle the escorts." The fleet surged forward. The Harrow led the charge. Her engines burned hot, pushing the old dreadnought faster than her designers had ever intended. Around her, the surviving ships of the Alpha Centauri Defense Force followed. 30 had become 26. 4 ships lost to collision damage, their crews evacuating to rescue shuttles. The mission continued. Ahead, the 7 red markers accelerated toward Mirage 4. Solon was desperate now. Varn could see it in the erratic course corrections, the ships jockeying for position, the formation breaking apart as faster vessels pulled ahead of damaged ones. There would be no organized defense, no coordinated resistance, just a broken fleet trying to reach safety. "Distance to intercept," Varn said. 6 minutes at current acceleration, Spencer reported. "We will cut them off 3 million kilometers from the defense station perimeter. 3 million kilometers. Close enough to see Mirage 4 in the viewports. Close enough to taste safety." Varn stood at the command rail and waited. Solon had come for money and revenge. He had prepared for 6 years. But the past was dead. The present was all that mattered. And in the present, there was only one way this ended. Signal the Fang of Avarice, Varn said. Open channel. Breck looked up. Admiral? I want him to see it coming. The channel opened. Solin's face appeared on the display, sweat on his brow, fear in his eyes. The arrogance was gone. Varn. The name came out as a rasp. You should have stayed gone, Varn said. I can negotiate. The Jar have resources. The Morek have contacts. We can make a deal. No, I have information, trade routes, black market networks, things that could help the fleet. No. Solin's composure cracked. What do you want? Varn looked at the man who had stolen from his fleet, murdered his people, spent 6 years building an army to take what was not his. I want you to understand, Varn said. You prepared for the man I was. You should have prepared for the man I became. He cut the channel. All ships, he ordered, close the distance, end the fight. The Jar made their stand at 2 million kilometers from Mirage 4. 3 warships. Damaged. Their captains knew they would not survive. They turned to face the human fleet anyway. Honor demanded it. Clan law demanded it. They would die with their weapons firing. Varn respected that. It did not change anything. Hammer Group, he ordered. Finish them. The Torrent led the charge. She had taken damage in the first engagement. Her port side was scorched black, sensor arrays torn away, secondary weapons offline. She was still the deadliest thing in the void. The Jar opened fire. Plasma lances reached across the darkness. Particle beams carved lines of light. Everything they had left concentrated on the approaching battlecruiser. The Torrent did not slow down. She hit the first Jar warship at an angle, her reinforced prow catching the enemy vessel just forward of the engine section. The impact sheared the alien ship in half. The front section tumbled away, venting fire and bodies. The rear section detonated as the reactor lost containment. The Torrent pulled back, turned, acquired the second target. The remaining Jar warships tried to flank her. The Blackwall intercepted one. The Render took the other. 2 more collisions. 2 more kills. The Jar died as they had lived, fighting to the last. Their throat sacs were still flared when the vacuum took them. On the Harrow's bridge, Varn watched the red markers disappear from the display. 3 more ships gone. The Jar contribution to Solin's fleet had been erased. Morek swarms are scattering, Lieutenant Spencer reported. Multiple vectors. They are not regrouping. Let them go. Breck looked up. Admiral? They are broken. No command structure, no flagship to rally around. Varn kept his eyes on the display. Pursuit would cost us ships we need. Let the Void have them. The Morek fled into the black. Clusters of fast attack craft burning hard for the outer system, for the transit corridors, for anywhere that was not here. Their commanders had calculated the odds and decided that survival outweighed profit. There was nothing left to fight for. The mercenary vessel is signaling, Lieutenant Corrin reported. They are requesting terms of surrender. Accepted. Boarding teams when the area is secure. Take them as a prize. 1 ship. 1 crew of opportunists who had bet on the wrong side. They would face tribunal. Some would be imprisoned. Some would be executed. The law was clear on piracy. But that was for later. Now, there was only 1 target left. The Fang of Avarice. Solin's ship hung in the void like a wounded animal. She had taken damage during the retreat. A destroyer had clipped her stern, tearing away a section of hull plating. One of her engine pods was dark. Atmosphere vented from a dozen small breaches, the emergency seal struggling to contain the damage. But she was still alive. Still dangerous. Her Jar shields shimmered around her hull, energy barriers designed to disperse incoming fire. Her Morek sensor arrays swept the battlefield, tracking every human ship with predatory precision. Her hybrid weapons charged, Terran guns and alien energy projectors ready to fire. Solin had built her to survive. to fight above her weight, to blend human resilience with alien technology. It would not be enough. All ships hold position, Varn ordered. The fleet acknowledged. They formed a perimeter around the engagement zone. Damaged vessels pulled back for emergency repairs. Rescue shuttles moved through the debris field, searching for survivors. The battle was over for them. For Varn, it was not finished. "A head full," he said. "Close the distance." The Harrow surged forward. Her forward hull was blackened from the earlier engagement. Plasma scoring layered over particle burns, layered over the dents of a dozen previous battles. She had never been beautiful. She had always been effective. 12 years of service. 10 years under Varn's command. She knew what was coming. Her crew knew what was coming. "Fang of Avarice is maneuvering," Spencer reported. "She is trying to maintain distance, using her remaining engine power to stay ahead of us. She cannot outrun us forever. Her engine is damaged." "Confirmed. At current acceleration differential, we intercept in 4 minutes." 4 minutes. The Fang opened fire. Hybrid weapons blazed. Terran railgun slugs mixed with alien energy pulses. The barrage was accurate, guided by Moric sensors that tracked the Harrow's every movement. Impacts rippled across the dreadnought's hull. Alarms screamed. Damage reports flooded the bridge. "Forward plating at 81%, the damage control officer called. "Section 5 showing stress fractures. Recommend reducing approach speed." "Negative," Varn said. "Maintain acceleration." More fire. More impacts. The Harrow shuddered with each hit. A secondary explosion somewhere in the port quarter. Varn stood at the command rail and did not move. 3 minutes to intercept. The Fang tried to turn. Her remaining engine flared, pushing her into a lateral maneuver. She was trying to get behind the Harrow, to use her speed advantage to circle and strike from an angle. It was a good tactic. It would have worked against most ships. "Nail Wing 3, Varn ordered. "Cut off her escape vector." 4 frigates broke from the perimeter. They angled to intercept the Fang's new course, forcing her back toward the Harrow. Solon had nowhere to go. "He is launching countermeasures," Spencer reported. "Decoys, sensor ghosts. He is trying to confuse our targeting. Ignore them. Visual tracking only. I can see his ship." The viewports showed the Fang of Avarice clearly. A dark shape against the stars, her shields flickering with each hit she absorbed. She was close enough now to see the details. The modified hull, the alien additions, the keldrite plating that Solon had not stripped away. Partial reinforcement. Enough to survive glancing blows. Not enough to survive what was coming. 2 minutes. The Fang fired everything. Railguns, energy weapons, missiles. A desperate barrage meant to cripple, to slow, to buy time that did not exist. The Harrow took it all. Her hull screamed. Her systems flickered. Somewhere deep in her structure, something important broke. She kept coming. "Forward plating at 63%. Section 5 has breached. Emergency seals holding. Casualties reported on decks 4 through 7. Breck moved closer. "Admiral, if we take much more—" "We will not," Varn's voice was firm. "We'll finish it. Now!" The Harrow's engines roared. Every reserve of power fed into acceleration. The old dreadnought leaped forward, her battered hull aimed directly at the Fang of Avarice. 1 minute. Solon's ship tried to evade. Too slow. Too damaged. The frigates had boxed her in, and the Harrow was coming too fast to escape. 30 seconds. On the Fang's bridge, Solon saw the dreadnought filling his viewports. He finally understood what he was facing. 15 seconds. Varn gripped the command rail. "All hands, brace for impact." The Harrow hit the Fang of Avarice at full ramming speed. The collision was violence made physical. 2 ships, each massing hundreds of thousands of tons, meeting at a combined velocity that turned metal into liquid and structure into chaos. The Harrow's reinforced prow struck the Fang amidships, punching through the Jar shields like they were not there. Keldrite met Keldrite. The Fang's partial plating held for a fraction of a second. Then it failed. The impact crumpled the pirate ship's midsection. Hull plates tore away. Internal structures collapsed. Atmosphere exploded outward in a white cloud that froze instantly in the void. The Fang's spine broke. The Harrow drove deeper. Her prow buried itself in the enemy vessel, locking the two ships together in a fatal embrace. Momentum carried them forward, spinning slowly, debris trailing behind them like a comet's tail. On the Harrow's bridge, the lights flickered. Consoles sparked. Officers picked themselves up from the deck where the impact had thrown them. Varn had not moved. His hands were still on the command rail, knuckles white. Damage report. Breck was bleeding from a cut on his forehead. He checked his console. Forward sections 1 through 4 are gone. Prow is destroyed. We are locked into the enemy vessel. Structural integrity at 41%. Engines offline. Weapons. He paused. Weapons are still functional. Good. Varn looked at the viewports. They showed the interior of the Fang of Avarice. Twisted metal. Floating debris. Bodies drifting in the vacuum. Somewhere in that wreckage, Dre Solon was dying. Target the enemy bridge, Varn said. All available weapons. Fire. The Harrow's gun spoke. Point-blank range, maximum power. Railgun slugs and energy pulses tore into the Fang's forward section, shredding what remained of her command structure. The firing lasted 12 seconds. Then silence. Target destroyed, Spencer reported. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. No life signs detected on the enemy vessel. Varn released the command rail. His fingers ached. Signal the fleet. Engagement complete. Begin recovery operations. The next 6 hours were work. Rescue shuttles moved through the debris field, searching for survivors. There were few. The collision engagements had been decisive, and vacuum was unforgiving. Human crews were recovered where possible. Alien crews were left for later collection, their bodies drifting among the wreckage of their ships. The Harrow could not move. Her prow was still embedded in the Fang of Avarice, the two ships fused together by the force of impact. Engineering teams worked to separate them, cutting through twisted metal with plasma torches. Varn did not wait on his bridge. He walked the ship. Deck 4 had taken heavy casualties. A hull breach during the final approach had killed 11 crew members before the emergency seals engaged. Their bodies had been recovered, laid out in the cargo bay with military precision. Varn stood before them. He did not speak. He memorized their faces. Deck 7 was worse. A fire had broken out during the collision, fed by a ruptured fuel line. 16 dead, 23 wounded. The medical bay was overwhelmed. Varn visited the wounded. He did not offer comfort. He offered presence. He stood beside their beds and let them see that their commander was still alive, still standing, that the battle had been won. Some of them would not survive the night. They knew it. He knew it. He stayed anyway. By the time he returned to the bridge, his uniform was stained with smoke and other men's blood. Breck had a fresh bandage on his head. The crew was exhausted, but functional. Casualty report, Varn said. 4 ships lost. UTN Candor, UTN Vanguard, UTN Spectre, UTN Relentless. Breck read from his datapad. Total personnel losses. 347 confirmed dead. 89 missing, presumed dead. 212 wounded. 63 critical. 436 people. The cost of victory. Varn absorbed the numbers. He would carry them. He always did. Enemy losses? 29 ships destroyed or captured. 1 vessel surrendered. Estimated enemy casualties exceed 4,000. Breck looked up. Dre Solon confirmed killed. Body not recovered, but bridge section was completely destroyed. No survivors. No survivors. No last words. No dramatic confrontation. Mirage 4 status? Secure. Mining operations resuming. Defense stations report no damage. The mission was complete. The line had held. Admiral Tarek Knoll arrived 9 hours and 14 minutes after his original scheduled time. His transport had received word of the battle and accelerated to maximum speed, but the engagement was over before he crossed the sector boundary. He arrived to find a debris field, a crippled flagship, and a fleet conducting recovery operations. Varn met him in the Harrow's shuttle bay. The space was functional again, though scorch marks still stained the deck, and the smell of smoke had not fully cleared. Knoll was younger than Varn, 53, ambitious. He had commanded a patrol sector in the outer colonies, earned commendations, built a reputation. He was ready for a real posting. He was about to get one. "Admiral Varn." Knoll saluted. "I see I missed the excitement." "You arrived on schedule," Varn said. "The situation resolved itself." Knoll looked around the shuttle bay, at the damage, at the crew members still working to clear debris, at the bloodstains that had not yet been cleaned. "The reports say you engaged a fleet of 29 ships, destroyed them all, lost 4 of your own." "Correct. And the enemy commander was a former UTN officer, a traitor." "Also correct." Knoll met his eyes. That must have been personal. Varn considered the question. Was it personal? Perhaps. It did not matter. "It was the mission," Varn said. "The sector is secure. The transfer files are ready. Command is yours." He held out a datapad. The transfer of command. A signature and a timestamp. 10 years reduced to a document. Knoll took it. Signed it. The timestamp registered. Admiral Cassius Varn was no longer in command of the Alpha Centauri sector. "Any advice?" Knoll asked. Varn looked at the younger man, at the ambition in his eyes, at the confidence that had not yet been tested by a decade of constant war. "The sector is never quiet," Varn said. "Do not expect peace. Prepare for the next fight. It is always coming." "Understood." Knoll glanced at the shuttle bay doors. "What happened here today, Admiral? The battle, the losses. How would you describe it?" Varn thought about the question, about the 4 ships lost, the 436 dead, the traitor who had returned to take what was not his and found only destruction. He thought about 10 years of raids and incursions and probing attacks, 10 years of burying good officers, 10 years of holding the line. "It was a normal day," he said. Knoll blinked. He did not understand. He would, eventually. The sector would teach him. Varn walked past him, toward the shuttle that would take him away from the Harrow, away from the fleet, away from the sector he had protected for a decade. Behind him, the work continued. Recovery operations, repairs, preparation for the next threat. Varn boarded the shuttle. The hatch closed. The engines engaged. He did not look back.
Hey there, space human. I'm really curious about your thoughts on this video. Drop a quick comment and let me know what's on your mind. Or just say hi if you prefer. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Also, remember to check the pinned comment. Trust me, it's worth a look. Oh, and one last thing. I've chosen another video for you to watch. Just click the card here, or here if you want the whole playlist. See you there.